Are you tired of feeling like you have to explain yourself to everyone around you? Do you feel constantly misunderstood, like you have to justify your every move and decision? Well, let me tell you something, you don't owe anyone an explanation. The power lies in your silence. In a world where we're constantly asked to give reasons, validate our actions, and defend our choices, we lose sight of one simple truth. We don't need to explain ourselves. Silence is not a weakness, it's a tool for reclaiming your authority. It's time to stop giving away your power through endless justifications. This speech is about learning to embrace silence, not as something to avoid, but as something to master. What if instead of explaining, you let your actions speak? What if you stood firm in your decisions and let the power of your silence define who you are? This isn't just about saying less, it's about becoming more. It's about reclaiming your confidence, your authority, and your life. Let's dive in. Silence is far more than just the absence of sound. It is a powerful, intentional force. The truth is, silence reflects strength. It's the kind of strength that doesn't need constant validation from others. When you stop explaining yourself, you stop giving away your power. You stand tall in your choices and let them speak for themselves. Imagine how different your life would be if you weren't always justifying your actions to others. The moment you stop explaining yourself is the moment you reclaim your space and your authority. Think about the most confident people you know. Are they the ones who are constantly talking and defending themselves? Or are they the ones who simply show up, do what they do, and let their actions speak for themselves? The most powerful leaders, the people we admire, often have one thing in common. They know when to stay silent. They understand the value of quiet confidence. They don't need to over-explain their choices or justify their presence. Their silence commands respect, and their actions earn trust. But here's the thing. We've been taught to explain ourselves from an early age. We've been conditioned to justify our decisions, to make sure people understand us, to get approval for our actions. But at what cost? When we constantly explain ourselves, we not only give away our energy, but also dilute our own authority. We seek validation in places that drain us, leaving us exhausted and disconnected from our true selves. You don't need to explain yourself to earn respect or to validate your worth. The moment you stop seeking external approval, you open the door to your true power. Now, let's dive deeper into why we feel the urge to explain ourselves. It's simple, really. We crave approval. It's a part of human nature to seek validation, to want to be understood and accepted. But here's the trap. When you rely on external validation to feel good about yourself, you give up your ability to be in control. You let other people's opinions define you. The fear of judgment becomes the driving force behind your every action. You start over-explaining, justifying, and apologizing, not because you need to, but because you're afraid of what others might think. This constant need to explain yourself creates a dangerous cycle. It feeds your self-doubt, making you question your worth and second-guess your decisions. Every time you feel the need to explain, you're reinforcing the idea that your decisions are somehow wrong, that your worth is tied to others' approval. And so you keep explaining, justifying, and apologizing. But here's the truth. Your worth is not determined by how much you explain or how often you seek approval. When you realize this, you break free from that cycle of self-doubt and start living authentically. The consequences of over-explaining are far-reaching. Every time you justify your actions, you dilute your personal power. It's like giving pieces of yourself away in exchange for nothing. When you over-explain, you weaken your own authority. People stop seeing you as someone who stands firm in their decisions and start seeing you as someone who's unsure, someone who needs constant validation. The more you explain, the less people respect you. Your energy is drained, your confidence is eroded, and your power is diminished. Think about it. When was the last time you truly felt respected by someone who was constantly explaining themselves? Likely never. People respect those who stand confidently in their choices. They admire those who are comfortable with silence, who don't feel the need to justify their every move. The more you explain, the more you drain your energy. You're constantly defending yourself, constantly justifying why you did what you did. And at the end of the day, what do you have to show for it? A lack of respect and a feeling of exhaustion. If you're living in the shadow of other people's opinions, you're not living for yourself. You're living for others. And when you do that, you lose your ability to make your own decisions. You let fear control you. But when you stop explaining, you stop letting fear dictate your actions. You start living life on your terms, not anyone else's. So how do you stop explaining yourself? It starts with embracing discomfort. When you begin to let go of the need to explain, you will feel discomfort. And that's okay. Discomfort is a sign that you're breaking free from old habits. It's a sign that you're growing. The discomfort is a small price to pay for reclaiming your power. Next, you need to build unshakable confidence. Confidence is the foundation of not needing to explain yourself. When you believe in your worth, your actions speak louder than any explanation. You stop seeking permission and start owning your decisions. You set boundaries and you protect your energy. It's time to stop justifying every choice you make. You are in control, and it's time to act like it. One of the most powerful tools in stopping the cycle of over-explaining is learning the art of the pause. Master the moments of silence. Don't fill every gap with words. Let your presence carry the weight of your decisions. Let your actions speak louder than any words ever could. Now let's talk about the transformative power of silence. When you embrace silence, you embark on an inner revolution. You gain clarity, self-awareness, and a sense of peace that you've never known before. Silence is not just the absence of sound, it's the presence of strength, confidence, and purpose. By embracing silence, you gain a deeper understanding of who you are and what you want. And when you understand yourself better, you can navigate the world with more confidence, clarity, and direction. Silence also strengthens relationships. The more you stop explaining yourself, the more people will respect you. You don't need to justify every decision. People will begin to value your presence and your boundaries. Silence creates an aura of mystery, of strength, and of respect. It makes people stop and think, there's something about this person that commands respect. When you stop explaining and start acting, success follows. The most successful people in the world didn't get there by justifying every decision they made. They got there by letting their actions speak for themselves. Success isn't about what you say, it's about what you do. It's about showing up, doing the work, and letting your results speak for themselves. And here's the best part. When you stop explaining yourself, you become unstoppable. You free yourself from the constant need for approval, and you take full control of your life. You step into your authentic self and become the person you were always meant to be. Now it's time for you to take action. Stop explaining, start living. The power of silence is in your hands. Use it wisely. Step into your power and become the unstoppable force you were meant to be. The world is waiting for you to embrace the quiet confidence that lies within. It's time to stop justifying yourself. Start living your life on your terms. Silence isn't just the absence of sound. It's a powerful tool, a strategic choice that can give you the clarity, strength, and peace you've been searching for. Too often, we mistake silence for weakness, or think that it means we have nothing important to say. But in reality, silence is one of the most powerful tools you can possess. It's a conscious decision to protect your energy, to step back, and to reclaim control over your own mind. When used the right way, silence will empower you in ways words never will. How many times have you spoken just to fill a gap, to avoid uncomfortable silence, or to try to explain yourself? What if I told you that in those moments, when you speak just for the sake of speaking, you're actually losing power? True power doesn't come from constant chatter. It comes from knowing when to hold your ground and let your actions do the talking. Let's explore what happens when you embrace silence as a strategic tool in your life. Silence is not just about keeping quiet, it's about making a deliberate choice. Each moment you remain silent has a purpose. When you choose not to speak, you create space. Space for focus, space for clarity, and most importantly, space for strength. Every word that you hold back is an opportunity to reclaim your energy. Silence isn't passive, it's an active, intentional decision. It's about deciding that you don't need to fill every moment with noise. Think about how much mental energy we waste when we explain ourselves unnecessarily. By choosing silence, you immediately begin to protect that energy. Consider some of the most powerful leaders of our time. People like Steve Jobs or Elon Musk. What do they have in common? They are known for being deliberate with their words. They speak when it matters. They've mastered the art of saying less while saying more. They didn't need to justify their decisions or explain every move. Their silence became a powerful tool that made their actions speak louder than any words could. How often do you find yourself speaking just for the sake of saying something? Imagine what would happen if you decided to let silence work for you instead. Silence serves as a shield. It's like a protective force field around your energy. Every time you choose silence, you're actively protecting your mental clarity and focus. When you explain too much, you drain yourself mentally and emotionally. It's like trying to run a marathon with a heavy backpack. You're exhausting yourself for no reason. But silence is like mental armor. It deflects the distractions and judgments of others. It shields you from the constant need to defend your decisions and actions. What if you could protect your energy by simply saying less? Imagine how much mental space you'd gain if you stopped explaining every little thing. Your energy would be spent on what truly matters. Your actions, your focus, your goals, not on justifying your every choice. Think about the successful people you admire. Many of them achieved great things not by talking constantly, but by being strategic with their words. They focused on doing, not justifying. Silence protected their energy, allowing them to direct their resources to what truly mattered. The true strength of silence lies in its ability to make you more influential. When you speak less, your words carry more weight. People listen more closely when you choose your words carefully, and they pay attention to what you do, not just what you say. Silence makes your presence felt. It amplifies the power of your words when you do speak. Imagine a world where every word you said held more weight, more influence. What would that feel like? Think about Elon Musk, a man known for speaking little but commanding immense attention with every move he makes. Musk doesn't fill the air with unnecessary words. When he speaks, people listen because they know it's intentional. Every word he says is considered, impactful, and measured. Silence in this case is his weapon. It gives him the space to act with purpose and precision. What if you adopted that same strategy? What if you said less but made each word more powerful? One of the most overlooked aspects of silence is its ability to create and enforce boundaries. Think about this for a moment. Silence can communicate boundaries without you having to utter a single word. When you choose silence, you make it clear that you don't need anyone's approval or validation. It's a quiet yet powerful way to set the tone for your life. You don't have to explain why you need space, why you've made a decision, or why you've said no. Your silence says it all. What if you could communicate your boundaries without saying a word? When you stop explaining yourself, you give others the message that your time, your energy, and your choices are valuable. You show them that you are in control of your life, and they need to respect that. Silence speaks volumes in these moments. It shows that you value your peace and your decisions enough to not justify them to anyone. Think about the leaders you admire. Many of them use silence to establish boundaries. They don't engage in unnecessary debates or discussions. Their silence commands respect. Finally, silence is the path to clarity, inner peace, and self-confidence. When you stop explaining yourself, you give yourself the space to reflect, to trust your instincts, and to connect with your own voice. Silence allows you to tune out the noise of the world and listen to what you truly need. It's in the stillness that you find the answers you've been looking for. How often do you let the opinions of others drown out your own voice? When you constantly explain yourself, you're letting outside opinions dictate your actions. But when you embrace silence, you create space to listen to your own inner voice. You begin to trust your own judgment and find confidence in your decisions. Think of those who found peace and clarity through silence. People who've made bold decisions and carved out their own path by choosing to listen to their inner wisdom, not the noise of the world. Embracing silence is not about saying nothing, it's about saying only what matters. It's about using silence to protect your energy, establish your boundaries, and build your influence. It's about finding strength in stillness and gaining clarity in the quiet. When you stop explaining yourself, you open up space for your true power to emerge. So let silence be your tool. Let it be the shield that protects you, the weapon that makes you influential, and the path that leads you to inner peace. Your silence speaks louder than words ever could. It's time to harness that power. Have you ever caught yourself explaining something over and over again, even when it wasn't necessary? Do you ever feel like you need to justify every decision or every move you make? It's time to face a hard truth. Over-explaining isn't just a bad habit. It's a trap that drains your energy, weakens your influence, and muddles your message. But here's the real question. Why do we do this to ourselves? Why do we feel the need to constantly explain, defend, and justify? In this speech, we're going to uncover the hidden costs of over-explaining and show you how to break free from this cycle. This is about more than just stopping a habit. It's about reclaiming your power, your energy, and your voice. It's time to stop explaining yourself and start letting your actions speak for you. Over-explaining isn't just a small annoyance. It's a behavior that stems from deeper fears and insecurities. The truth is, when we constantly explain ourselves, we're often trying to seek approval or validation. We're trying to avoid judgment, to please others, to make sure people like or agree with us. But what we don't realize is that over-explaining is like putting ourselves on trial. It's like saying, I need your permission to exist. And in doing so, we give away our power. We start to dilute our message, weaken our stance, and ultimately lose respect from others. Let me ask you this: why do you feel the need to prove yourself all the time? Why do you find yourself explaining things you've already made clear, or justifying actions that don't require justification? The root of this is insecurity. Deep down, we're scared of being misunderstood, judged, or rejected. But the truth is, the more we explain, the less confident and powerful we justify every decision. Embrace self-trust. Let your actions speak for you, and watch how much more powerful, respected, and free you become. Have you ever found yourself talking in circles, explaining things you don't need to, just to get someone's approval or avoid judgment? Have you ever felt the weight of constantly needing to justify your actions and decisions to others, even when it's unnecessary? You're not alone. Many of us fall into this trap of over-explaining without even realizing it. But here's the truth: every time you explain yourself too much, you lose a little bit of your power. It weakens your presence and can drain your energy, but it doesn't have to be this way. In this speech, we're going to explore the reasons behind this habit, understand why you feel the need to explain yourself, and most importantly, how to break free from this cycle. The truth is, silence is power. When you stop over-explaining, you'll reclaim control over your life and your decisions. So let's dive into the real reasons behind over-explaining and discover how you can take back your power. The deep-rooted need to explain yourself comes from a mix of insecurities and fears. It's more than just a habit. It's often driven by the need for validation and the fear of judgment. The need for validation is rooted in a fear of being misunderstood, rejected, or judged. We want to make sure that others approve of us, that they see us in a good light, and that they understand why we make the decisions we do. But this need for approval can be crippling. We end up seeking validation before making even the smallest decisions. We look for reassurance, we check social media for likes and comments, and we seek approval in our everyday interactions. But here's the catch: seeking constant validation weakens your sense of self. You start relying on others' opinions to make decisions, and you lose the ability to trust your own judgment. Let me ask you, how often do you seek approval from others before making decisions? Whether it's big or small, how often do you look for someone to tell you it's okay? The more you seek permission from others, the more you give away your personal power. Stop seeking permission. You are your own authority. Trust yourself, and stop looking for validation outside of you. Now let's talk about fear of judgment. This fear is one of the most powerful forces behind over-explaining. We're afraid that if we don't justify our decisions, we'll face criticism or rejection. This fear leads us into a cycle where we constantly explain ourselves to avoid conflict or disapproval. But here's the problem: every time you over-explain, you're carrying a backpack full of other people's opinions. You're letting the weight of their judgments drag you down. The more you try to explain yourself, the heavier the backpack gets, and the cycle never ends. You explain more, you justify more, and you become even more trapped in the fear of judgment. Do you really need their approval to feel confident in your choices? The truth is, you don't. The more you break free from this fear, the more powerful you become. When you stop explaining, you stop giving power to other people's opinions. You take control of your own life, and you stop letting others dictate how you feel about your decisions. Another reason people over-explain is a lack of boundaries. Many of us struggle to say no, to set limits, and to protect our time and energy. Instead of saying no, we find ourselves explaining why we can't do something or why we're making a certain decision. But let me tell you something: you don't have to explain yourself to anyone. Setting boundaries is not only a form of self-respect, it's also the foundation of personal power. When you fail to set boundaries, you dilute your energy and you lose control over your time and attention. You end up saying yes to things that don't serve you, and then explaining yourself for it. Strong individuals know how to say no without offering an explanation. They protect their time and energy, and they don't apologize for it. Boundaries give you the power to focus on what truly matters, and to respect your own needs. So, let me repeat myself: you don't have to explain yourself to anyone. Stop over-explaining your decisions, and start setting clear boundaries. When you do, you'll find that your energy, your confidence, and your respect for yourself will grow exponentially. Over-explaining might feel like a way to defend yourself, to make sure others understand where you're coming from. But here's the hard truth: every time you over-explain, you're losing power. You're draining your energy and your influence. It might seem harmless, but over-explaining comes at a cost. It erodes your authority, weakens your presence, and often leads to missed opportunities. What if I told you that the more you justify your decisions and actions, the less respect you'll get? And that silence, not explanations, could be the key to regaining your strength and influence. In this section, we're going to look at the real consequences of over-explaining and why you need to stop. When you over-explain, you send a message that you don't trust your own decisions. You're signaling uncertainty, and that weakens your presence. Think about it: every time you feel the need to explain yourself, you're undermining the confidence you should have in your own choices. It's like watering a plant too much. At first, the plant seems to grow, but eventually the roots drown. Over-explaining is the same. You might think you're clarifying things, but you're only drowning your own authority. The more you explain, the less powerful you become. Do you want to be someone who holds a steady presence, someone who inspires confidence, or do you want to be someone who constantly seeks approval? Look at strong leaders. They don't feel the need to justify every choice. They act with certainty, and people respect them because of it. When you stop over-explaining, you command respect simply by acting with confidence. Silence becomes your most powerful tool. It shows you're secure in your decisions and don't need to seek validation from others. Over-explaining isn't just damaging to your presence. It takes an emotional toll that most people don't even realize. Think about it: when you're constantly defending yourself and explaining your every move, it's exhausting. Every explanation drains a little more of your energy. You're not just spending time on these explanations, you're giving away your emotional energy. This exhaustion isn't just about feeling tired. It affects your relationships, your mental focus, and your overall well-being. Every time you defend yourself, you weaken your ability to focus on what truly matters. Protect your energy. Stop giving it away on things that don't deserve it. Think about how much mental energy it takes to explain yourself constantly. Imagine what you could accomplish if you stopped. You could pour that energy into your goals, your work, and the people who truly matter. Stop wasting it on justifying yourself. When you stop over-explaining, you'll not only save your energy, you'll also preserve your mental clarity and emotional health. When you're busy explaining every decision, you're missing the chance to build influence. Silence, in its purest form, creates curiosity. It makes people wonder what you'll do next. When you're always explaining, you lose the opportunity to let your actions speak for themselves. Silence is the fertile ground where influence grows. Think about the people who speak less but still manage to make a strong impact. They don't need to justify themselves. They let their actions and results do the talking. That's power. That's influence. And that's respect. The more you explain, the more you dilute your impact. People stop focusing on what you're doing and start focusing on your words. But when you embrace silence, you let your actions speak louder than any explanation ever could. You create an aura of mystery, respect, and influence. Less is more, and by saying less, you gain more. You gain the respect of those around you. You gain the power to make decisions without feeling the need to explain them. And you create a lasting impact that doesn't rely on constant justification. So stop explaining, start acting. Let silence be the space where your influence grows. You've been caught in a cycle of constant explanation, haven't you? Always justifying yourself, always seeking approval, trying to make sure everyone understands your every move. But what if I told you that silence, yes, silence could be your ticket to freedom? Imagine for a moment that the very thing you fear, discomfort, was actually the key to transforming your life. Today we're going to break the chains of over-explaining and discover the power that lies in saying less. This isn't just about stopping your words, it's about reclaiming your authority, your peace, and your confidence. It's about learning how to stand firm, even when the silence feels uncomfortable. When you embrace this discomfort, you'll find a power that's been waiting for you all along. The first step toward mastering silence is understanding that discomfort is part of the process. You've spent so much time filling the air with explanations that the idea of saying less feels unnatural, even awkward. But let me tell you something, you must embrace that discomfort. It's the price you pay to reclaim your power. What's worse, feeling uncomfortable for a few moments, or being drained for a lifetime by the need to justify your every action? I challenge you to start small. Try saying less in conversations. Just listen. Hold space without rushing to fill every gap with words. See how it feels. You'll realize that silence is not an enemy, it's a tool. Discomfort is only temporary, but the power you gain from practicing silence is lasting. With every small step, you'll begin to feel more in control, and slowly, silence will become your most powerful ally. True silence doesn't come from a lack of words, it comes from unshakable self-confidence. The more confident you are in who you are, the less you'll feel the need to explain your every decision. Your confidence is like a shield. It protects you from the urge to justify yourself to others. Think of influential leaders, celebrities, or anyone who commands respect. They don't spend time explaining their worth because they already know it. They don't need to. What would it take for you to believe in your own worth so deeply that you never feel the need to explain yourself again? Self-confidence is not about seeking others' approval. It's a practice, one that starts from within and grows stronger with each decision you make. It's time to stop looking outside for validation and start building that inner belief. When you do, silence becomes second nature. But let's talk about something else. Boundaries. Without boundaries, people will keep coming to you with questions, demands, and requests for explanations. They'll drain you and you'll keep giving them more of your energy. If you don't set boundaries, people will continue to ask for explanations and you'll keep giving them away. But here's the thing, every time you refuse to set a boundary, you lose a piece of yourself. Boundaries are like the walls of your castle. If they're weak, people will invade your space. The only way to protect your peace is to set strong, non-negotiable boundaries. Start small. Practice saying no without an excuse. It could be as simple as declining an invitation or refusing a request without explaining why. At first it may feel uncomfortable, but soon you'll realize how empowering it is. Boundaries are a form of self-respect, and they're crucial if you want to keep control over your life and your time. Without them, you'll find yourself endlessly explaining and justifying until there's nothing left to give. Now let's talk about mastering the art of strategic silence. Silence isn't just about holding back your words. It's about knowing when to speak and when to remain silent. Strategic silence is what allows you to reclaim authority in any situation. Think about the power of a pause in conversation. When you give others space to think, you gain more control over the flow of the discussion. Your silence speaks louder than any words could. It forces others to reflect on your actions and your intentions, creating respect and curiosity. Can you learn to let your silence speak louder than your words? When used strategically, silence doesn't leave gaps. It fills the space with power. It creates intrigue, draws respect, and establishes influence. So stop explaining, start mastering the power of silence, and watch how your presence grows stronger with every word you don't say. We live in a world that constantly demands answers from us, don't we? We're expected to explain ourselves, justify our decisions, and constantly seek approval. But what if I told you that the key to unlocking your true potential lies not in more words, but in silence? Imagine how much power you could gain by simply choosing to stop explaining yourself. Silence is not a weakness, it's a tool for transformation. It's in silence that clarity is found, boundaries are set, and deep connections are built. When you embrace silence, you reclaim your personal power and create space for true growth. This isn't just about saying less. It's about choosing to live on your terms, without the constant need to justify who you are or what you do. Today we're going to uncover the transformative power of silence. Together we'll explore how it leads to personal growth, stronger relationships, and ultimately greater success. Get ready to embrace silence, not as something to avoid, but as a secret weapon for unstoppable growth. Silence isn't just about the absence of sound. It's the fertile ground where your personal growth can truly take root. Imagine that silence is the soil in which you plant your dreams, your desires, and your goals. In that stillness, you can hear your own thoughts more clearly. You can reflect without the noise of the world drowning out your inner voice. Too often, we fill every moment with explanations, trying to please others or defend ourselves. But in that constant noise, we lose sight of who we truly are. Think about some of the world's most influential figures. They didn't get where they are by constantly talking or justifying themselves. They took the time to listen, to reflect, and to grow in the quiet moments. By embracing silence, they found the clarity they needed to pursue their deepest desires and goals. Growth happens in those quiet moments when you stop explaining and start listening to yourself. True self-awareness emerges when you allow yourself the space to be still, to think, and to grow without the distractions of others' opinions. Now let's talk about relationships. This may sound counterintuitive, but the more you stop over-explaining yourself, the stronger your relationships will become. Think about it. How many times have you found yourself justifying your actions, seeking validation from others, or constantly trying to explain why you made a certain decision? All of that explanation doesn't create respect. It creates dependence. People will respect you more when you stop seeking their approval. When you embrace silence, you're giving others the space to respect you without needing to constantly explain yourself. This isn't about shutting people out or refusing to communicate. It's about setting boundaries. By not feeling the need to over-explain, you're telling others that you respect yourself enough to let your actions speak for you. When you stop explaining, you open the door for deeper, more meaningful connections. Your relationships will no longer be based on constant justification, but on mutual respect. Silence isn't a void, it's a space where true respect and understanding can grow. Now let's shift gears and talk about success. You've heard it before, actions speak louder than words. It's easy to talk about your goals, your plans, your dreams, but true success doesn't come from words, it comes from action. Think of some of the most powerful leaders, entrepreneurs and creators. They don't waste their time explaining why they're doing what they're doing. They just do it. They focus on their work, on taking action, and let the results speak for themselves. Your actions are the fire. Your words are just the smoke. And let me tell you something, smoke doesn't create change, the fire does. When you stop talking about what you're going to do and start doing it, that's when you see real progress. Stop explaining, start acting. It's time to let your actions speak louder than any justification ever could. Your success will not come from the words you say, but from the work you do. You don't need to explain yourself. Silence isn't a sign of weakness, it's one of the greatest strengths you can possess. In a world that constantly demands answers, choosing silence is a radical act of self-respect. Every time you stop explaining yourself, you're reclaiming a piece of your power. You're telling the world, I don't need to justify who I am or what I do. And here's the truth. When you stop giving away your power through constant explanations, you take control of your life. You live authentically, without apology. Your silence is your strength. It's your shield against the pressure of always having to explain. And let me remind you, this isn't about shutting people out. This is about setting boundaries. This is about giving yourself the space to grow and to thrive. Silence allows you to reclaim your power and take back control of your life. Starting today, make a commitment to embrace the power of silence. Begin by saying less in everyday situations, whether it's a conversation with a friend or an interaction at work. Don't explain yourself. Don't feel the need to justify your actions. Instead, listen more. Watch how the dynamics around you shift. You'll feel stronger, more confident. You'll notice how much energy you gain when you stop explaining and start simply being. Trust me, when you stop talking, you'll start acting. And that's when real change begins. The more you embrace silence, the more powerful you'll become. Silence isn't just the absence of words, it's the presence of strength, clarity, and focus. No more explanations, only actions. When you stop explaining yourself, you stop giving away your power. And when you stop giving away your power, you become unstoppable. Silence is not weakness, it is strength. It is clarity. It is the key to reclaiming control over your life. When you trust yourself enough to stop explaining, you unlock an inner power that is untouchable. Your silence will speak louder than anything you could say. And in that silence, you will find the space to become the person you were always meant to be. So embrace silence. Trust yourself. Let your life become a testament to the strength, clarity, and success that comes from embracing the power within you. The world is waiting to see what you can do when you stop explaining and start acting. Your silence is your power. Use it to transform your life and achieve the success you deserve.